Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Hall and I'd like to welcome you all to the Bermuda Youth Library's online STEAM Club. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. And in today's session we're going to be using a little bit of all of those elements as we experiment with buoyancy. Buoyancy is the ability for something to float, so we're going to be using some common household materials to design very simple boats. What you'll need are a few pennies to act as weights, a piece of foil or a few pieces of foil that you can use to build into your boats, a container, a bucket, a tub or a sink, something that can contain water, and finally, water to put into those. And if possible, see if you can do your experiment outside so that you don't make a mess. Now, as we go along, we're going to be using what's known as the scientific method. The scientific method is made up of 7 parts. First, you have to ask a question, like what shape floats the best, or what shape will float the most pennies. Then you have to do some research. You can go online and see what kinds of boats people have made in the past using foil to get some ideas for yourself. I did that. Then you have to formulate what's called a hypothesis, which is an educated guess. So my hypothesis is that longer shaped boats will float the best. Then you move on to your experimentation. You record your observations using pen and paper. You draw a conclusion based on what you've seen, and then you can share your results. The way I'm sharing my results will be through this video. And you can send your results in to me, and I'll give an email at the end. Alright, let's get started. To begin, you can get a piece of foil and begin folding it into the shape that you want your boat to be in. I was able to find some foil wrap that was already pre-cut. That's helpful because that'll make sure that all of my boats are using the exact same amount of foil. But what you can do if you're doing your experiment with foil that isn't pre-cut is you can use a ruler to make sure that every piece is the same length. Alright, so for my first boat shape, I am going to start by folding the foil in half. The reason that I do this is because when I was trying to experiment with boat building earlier, I was just leaving the foil nice and flat like this, but I noticed that it would start filling with water, and I wasn't sure why until I held up the foil to the light. And when I looked through, I saw that in each of the little tiny crinkles, there were little tiny holes forming. So I want to make sure that that doesn't happen so much, so I will make the foil a little bit sturdier by folding it over. Like this. Now, a boat will have sides to it, so that can be a tricky part. You need to fold it so that it can have sides. Alright. You can play around to see what's the best way that you can build your sides, but the most important part is that they close very closely so that the water can't get in. Alright, so just fold it up so that the sides are standing. Okay. Not very boat-shaped, but it's got 4 sides to it, and they will keep the water out. So that's one long floating boat. Let's try to make another. Let's make this one a bit more square-shaped if we can. Alright, begin by folding it over, just like last time. But this time, I'll fold it over again. Okay, now let's build up the sides. You don't have to follow the same technique as me. You can try anything that you find online or just use your own creativity. more square shape compared to my rectangle. Let's see. What's another kind of shape that I could make? It's hard to make a circle using this unless I were to use a pair of scissors. But let's see what else I can do. Maybe I can fold it over. Fold it over one more time. Let's see if I can just scrunch it together. So, a little messier, but a little bit rounder too. Alright, so now we've got our 3 boats built, but you can make as many as you want. And if you have a brother or a sister, you can even do a competition to see who can come up with the most creative idea. So, we've got our boats built, now let's try the experimentation. Okay, I've put in boat number 1 and boat number 2, and they're floating pretty well so far. Let's see how that changes as we start adding weight to them. I've got here 50 pennies, and I'm going to put the same amount into each side until one of them goes underwater. So to start it off, let's try putting 5 pennies in each. And something that you'll find is very helpful is if you spread the pennies out, but not too much so that one side gets heavier than the other. So that's 5 for boat number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for number 2. And they're still floating strong. Now let's try another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still holding strong. I saw some really fancy designs that could hold up to 60 pennies each. Not sure if I can make that, but if I do, that would be quite the record. Alright, let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try not to put the pennies down too hard, or else that might end up rupturing your boat and it'll go under too. Alright, let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll fish this one out. Alright. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so far each one has 25 pennies on it. Let's see how much more they can handle. Alright. Get them all out. There we go. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one already landed on this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 30 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So far, no wetness. So they're not sinking yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, they've each got 50 cents on them. All right, let's see. We might actually get up to 60 pennies. All right, let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're still going very strong. Let's try switching it up now. Instead of pennies, let's use some nickels. Nickels are, of course, heavier than pennies, so this may speed up the process to see who sinks faster. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I'm still spreading out the weight to make sure that no side gets heavier than the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no! And we have a winner, our long boat. So, let's just find out how much more would it have taken to sink our long boat. Then we can do a count to see who won by, well, obviously this one won, but we can see by how much. Oh, I think it's starting to go under. Any second now. Oh, here it goes. And down it goes. The end. Alright, well, I'm going to do a count up to see exactly how many pennies and nickels each had, and I'll get back to you. So here we go. The final scores for both boats were boat number 2, the more square-shaped one, was able to hold 60 pennies and 9 nickels, while boat number 1 was able to hold 60 pennies and 32 nickels. That's quite a difference. Alright, let's go ahead and test our final boat, the more roundish shaped one. In the end, the final boat could hold 60 pennies but only 3 nickels. So, that means that boat number 1, with the 60 pennies and 32 nickels, was the winner. And that also confirms my hypothesis that the longer boat did indeed hold the most weight. But this experiment raised some more questions that we could ask. For example, was it only the fact that the boat was so long that made it hold more? Was it also something that I did while I was building the boat? Maybe I didn't build the sides up high enough. Or maybe when I was putting the weights on, maybe for one boat I was putting it on a little bit more gently than the other. In order to find out if these minor little things could have had a big effect on the final score, you could try building your boats a few different times, or exactly the same though, and keep putting pennies on and see if your numbers still equal to be around the same amount. You can also try experimenting with other things, other kinds of bowls or cups, and see how much they can take. That's a way that you can find out if the scientific method and your hypothesis is actually correct. Well, I hope you had fun with this experiment. I did. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the next one. Bye for now.